Hello, it's Paul Driscoll, aka the Drisk, and we're moving on to week 2 of my planned 31 Days of Horror challenge. Now, look in the video notes if you've missed part 1, because include the playlist with all the parts as they show up. Now, here we are on the 9th of October, that's Monday the 9th of October, and we have the brilliant film released in 2015 called Final Girls. Now, this is not to be confused with Final Girl that came out the same year, which was an okay movie, but this is the one with Final Girls with an S at the end, the plural of. And in my opinion, it's a much better film, with the main girl going to see a special showing of a movie of her now passed away mum had done in 1986. Now, during the showing of that movie, they're pulled into the actual movie itself, her and her friends, and then they have the killer also after them. Now, obviously, it's riffing off the idea of Friday the 13th movie, but this is really cool. It's the kids that are pulled into the movie. They know all the tropes of what they need to do to survive, and even the movie itself. You also have the emotional elements of the main character seeing her mum again, who's her age, and learning to relate to her. It's a movie you don't often hear about, and I think it's a brilliant horror comedy that needs to be watched by more. Now, it's on Apple Plus TV if you've got a subscription, or it's £3.49 on the main streaming service. Now on to Tuesday the 10th of October, and we have my favourite horror film of all time being The Haunting, released in 1963. Now, don't watch the terrible remake of the late 90s, although the Netflix miniseries is really good and well worthy of a watch. But this one is based on the Shirley Jackson fantastic book, The Haunting on Hill House, which is a terrifying book. And in turn, it was that book that inspired Stephen King to write the book The Shining. He took a lot of the similar elements of the actual place being evil. This is directed by Robert Wise. Now, he was a director on the musical West Side Story of all things, and he's put together a wonderful cast here who each perfectly portray the characters in the book perfectly. As I mentioned, this is probably my favourite horror film. I mean, it scared me senseless as a kid. I saw it far too young, and it still creeps me out today. You see, a lesser director would have been far too heavy-handed and have dated the movie by showing monsters and things. I mean, look at the terrible 90s movie variant. But Robert Wise here tells the horror through shadows and sound, and using your imagination instead to fill in the blanks. So turn down those lights and watch this classic horror today. Now, you can see it on Apple Plus TV as part of the subscription, or it's available to rent for £3.49 on most streaming platforms. Right, now on to Wednesday the 11th of October, and we've got another one of my favourite horrors, or horror comedies, with it being American Werewolf in London, released in 1981. I just adore this film, and it's still the best werewolf transformation scene ever done, in my opinion. The film's also genuinely funny and quirky and weird, and it's just a wonderful, scary horror comedy to enjoy. So remember, beware the moon, lads, and stick to the path. Now, to watch this, you can find it on Shudder. They've got a fantastic version, and they do a free trial on Shudder, so you could do it for 7 days. Perfect over the Halloween period. It's also on ITV Plus, with adverts, of course. Or you can, another suggestion is pick up the Arrow video release of this, the physical release. It's a wonderful restoration of the film, and the amount of extras is truly amazing. It's the Arrow videos are certainly a joy to behold, and well worthy picking up if you can. Right, let's go on to Thursday the 12th of October, and I've gone for the little known horror, and it's new to me as well. It's called He Knows You're Alone, released in 1980. Now, it's a slasher movie, but it's one that I really want to see because it's Tom Hanks' movie debut. Yes, Tom Hanks in a slasher movie has me intrigued already. Now, apparently it was only supposed to be a small, quick death scene for him, but the director was so impressed with his acting abilities that he wrote him a much bigger part to his character to give him a much bigger role. It's available on Amazon Prime to rent for £3.49, and I'm, for one, really looking forward to watching this one. Right, we've made it to Friday the 13th. Yes, Friday the 13th itself. And for this evening, I've put on an awesome triple bill of cool teenager movies for that perfect night in. So get the popcorn and beers to re-watch these awesome films again. We start the evening with my favourite horror comedy, with Return of the Living Dead. This is written by Dan O'Bannon, who of course wrote the Alien movie and Total Recall, so you can expect some awesome snappy dialogue and genuinely funny moments. It's set in the world of George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead series of films, but this introduced a lot that gets attributed to those films, such as the zombie mythos with their obsessions to eat human brains that didn't appear in any of the George A. Romero ones. All in all, though, this is just a real classic and hilarious to watch, and a great one to boot. And now you can watch it free on Freevee. Of course, that will have adverts, but there's a lot of variety of streaming platforms that do offer it for £3.49. I adore this film, and if you've never seen it, you're in for a real treat. Now, our second movie of the night is the fantastic teen vampire movie Lost Boys. Now, released in 1987 and starring Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Patric, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, to name but a few. I just never tire of this movie. It has an amazingly awesome soundtrack, some iconic moments that make the film such a fun ride to watch through. Now, you can actually watch it on BBC iPlayer in the UK if you have that, or you can rent it on Prime or other platforms. For Prime, it's only £3.09, which is an awesome price to rent it. And that brings us on to our final film. And of course, it's Friday the 13th, so I had to choose a Friday the 13th film. And I've chosen Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. As I mentioned, I tried to get away from those sort of horror tropes of the main series. But I mean, yeah, Friday the 13th's got to have a Friday the 13th film, isn't it? And I think genuinely this 1988 film is the best of the series. It's the one that I enjoy the most, at least anyway. Now, Prime has this to rent for £3.09, but it's also on Paramount, so a streaming service, so you can do a 7-day free trial to see it there. Okay, we're on to Saturday now, and we start with the teen-friendly matinee performance, so you can watch with your family, although this is probably more for teens, not young children, and it is Fright Night. It stars the ever glorious Roddy McDowall, and this is a Tom Holland written and directed comedy horror, and it's such a joy to watch. It's a really great 80s movie. Now, Amazon has this only £2.49 to rent for a steal, but even better, $4.99 to digitally own. I mean, that's fantastic to have a HD remaster of this film for only £4.99. Now, for the evening horror showing, we have the 1981 film Hell Night. Now, I've personally never seen this film, but it stars Linda Blair, yes, the girl from The Exorcist. But here she's like a young adult student, and it's another horror that I'm excited to see her in another role. I'm quite intrigued to see what it's like. And the film synopsis really intrigues me as well. It's about 4 college pledges are forced to spend a night in a deserted old mansion where they're stalked by a monstrous survivor of the family massacre years earlier. So it's a film that's got me mightily intrigued, and I for one can't wait to see it. Now Shudder currently has the film, so if you can subscribe to that, there's a free trial. That's a fantastic way to see this, and I always subscribe to Shudder at this time of year. But it is on various streaming platforms as well, so there's other ways to watch it. Now finally, on Sunday the 15th of October, we have the teen-friendly matinee performance with the film The Frighteners. Released in 1996 and starring Michael J. Fox. It's a great dark comedy horror movie made by Peter Jackson himself. And it uses some of the effects that you see here, which are well ahead of its time, was used by Weta again in the Lord of the Rings movies. It's all about a psychic private detective who consorts with deceased souls and becomes engaged in a mystery as members start dying mysteriously. It's just an awesome one to watch this Sunday. Now Amazon has it only £3.09 to rent and only £5.99 to digitally own a HD copy, which is awesome. Now for the evening I switched the film from what I originally was planning to do with Eden Falls, which is a great film, but I've gone for the more popcorn friendly Cherry Falls. This is criminally overlooked on its release in 2000, with it getting the X rating, so it got refused to be released in the US and most cinemas, and so ended up really as a TV movie. It did get released okay in other countries, but of course it would never recover. And it's such a shame because this is a big budget, big star Hollywood slasher movie riffing off the success of the film Scream. Now annoyingly, Cherry Falls isn't available to digitally stream anywhere, so you'll need to buy or search those digital high seas looking for a copy. So there you go, that's week 2 of my horror movie schedule on October 2023. Maybe some of those movies are new to you and you want to watch them, or you maybe want to join me on the whole movie challenge. You're more than welcome. Of course, if you do watch any of them, please consider dropping a like and a comment and giving your opinions of these films or other films that you're doing for your Halloween session. So if you enjoyed that, please consider liking and commenting, and maybe even subscribe to the channel. I know we do mostly retro video game stuff, but we also do movies, as you're seeing here. So of course, if you subscribe, you won't miss out on any future videos. So until next time, keep it retro and happy Halloween.